You were taught that everything comes back. The comet returns. The tide returns. The seasons turn and return. Even light, if you bend it far enough around something heavy enough, will curve and come back to where it began. So somewhere in the quiet part of your mind, you may have believed it too, that one day, after the long silence, our two travelers would slow down, turn around, and find their way home. They will not. Right now, as you breathe, two machines built by human hands are moving away from this planet at a speed the Earth itself can never undo. They are not lost. They are not drifting. They are leaving, on purpose, forever, along a path that physics sealed, shut almost 50 years ago. The question tonight is simple. The answer is stranger than the question. Will the Voyagers ever return to Earth? To answer that, we first have to understand what kind of road they are on, because it is not a road that bends back. Most things that leave the Earth are still prisoners of it. A satellite climbs into the sky, but it never truly escapes. It falls, endlessly, sideways, caught in a loop it can never break. The moon does the same. So do the planets around the sun. They are all running in circles, held on an invisible leash. The Voyagers cut that leash. When they launched in 1977, they were not placed into an orbit. They were flung. They swung past Jupiter, then Saturn, and each giant world threw them faster, like a stone whipped from a sling. Engineers call it a gravity assist. What it really did was simpler and far more final. It pushed both spacecraft past escape velocity, the exact speed at which the sun's gravity can no longer reel something back in. Think about what that means. There is a number, a specific speed, where the universe stops pulling you home. Cross it, and the curve of your path changes shape. A closed loop becomes an open one. An ellipse becomes a hyperbola, a line that leans outward and never closes. The Voyagers crossed that number decades ago, and here is the part that unsettles people when they first hear it. There is nothing waiting out there to turn them around. No far wall of the cosmos, no edge to bounce off. The path of a hyperbola does not come back, because there is nothing in the entire structure of space to bring it back. So, if gravity will not return them, and distance will not return them, could anything? Hold that thought. Because before we follow them into the dark, we have to look at where they are tonight. Look up at where you imagine the edge of everything to be. Now go much, much farther. Tonight, Voyager 1 is roughly 16 billion miles from Earth, about 25 billion kilometers. Voyager 2 is close behind at around 13 billion miles. These are not numbers the human mind can truly hold. So let me give you one that you can feel. On the 18th of November, 2026, Voyager 1 will cross a distance no human-made object has ever reached. It will be exactly one daylight from Earth. That phrase deserves a moment. Light is the fastest thing that exists. Nothing in the universe outruns it. And it will now take a full day, 24 hours, for light to travel from that lonely spacecraft to your eyes. Send it a message tonight, and the answer would not return until tomorrow night. The conversation has slowed to the pace of a heartbeat that takes 2 days to complete, and the spacecraft is dying. Both Voyagers run on heat, the slow, steady warmth of decaying plutonium converted into electricity. But that warmth fades. Every year, each probe loses about 4 watts of power. 4 watts, less than the bulb in your refrigerator. And one by one, the engineers at NASA have been switching off its sensors to keep the heart beating a little longer. In April of 2026, they shut down one of Voyager 1's last instruments, a detector that had been listening to charged particles almost without pause for nearly 49 years. They did not want to. They had to. The power had dropped during a routine maneuver, and the team had to choose what to sacrifice to keep the rest alive. So this is the truth of where they are. Farther than anything we have ever sent. Quieter every year. Going colder, going darker, and still moving outward. Faster than Earth can ever call them back. Which raises a question that sounds like science fiction, but is not. If they are heading somewhere, what is out there in their path? The Voyagers are not falling into emptiness. They are aimed at something. They just will not arrive for a very, very long time. Voyager 1 is climbing out of the plane of our solar system, heading in the direction of a constellation called Ophiuchus. And in about 40,000 years, it will drift within roughly 1.5 light years of a faint, dim star, a quiet little ember called Gliese 445. Voyager 2 is on its own road, falling away in nearly the opposite direction. In about 40,000 years, it too will pass near a star, one named Ross 248. Sit with the scale of that, 40,000 years. When the Voyagers were built, the great cathedrals had not been imagined. Writing barely existed. Now run the clock forward by the same distance into the future, and only then do these machines pass their first new star. But notice something. They will pass near these stars. They will not stop. They will not be captured. They will simply slide by in the dark, silent and cold, and keep going. The galaxy is so empty, so vast, that even aimed at a star, the most likely outcome is to miss it by a gulf wider than the entire solar system. And not one of those stars is home. Every road they travel leads outward to strangers. None of them loops back to the small blue world that made them. Unless you change what you mean by back. Because there is one motion we have not yet accounted for. The largest motion of all. Here is the thing almost no one tells you about the Voyagers. They are not the only ones moving. You are spinning right now, not just on the Earth, not just around the Sun. The entire solar system, the Sun, the planets, you, is being carried around the center of the Milky Way at nearly 500,000 miles per hour. We complete one lap of the galaxy roughly every 225 million years. The last time the Sun was where it is tonight, the first dinosaurs were taking their first steps. And the Voyagers? The moment they left the Sun's grip, they joined that same great wheel. They now orbit the center of the galaxy too, as free, lonely travelers in their own right, no longer tied to us, but turning around the same distant center we turn around. So here, at last, is the only honest version of your hope. Could the slow turning of the galaxy, over hundreds of millions of years, eventually carry a Voyager back around to where the solar system is now? And the answer is the most haunting no in all of astronomy. Because the galaxy is not a clock. It does not keep perfect time. Every star it passes tugs at it. Every cloud of gas bends its path. Over millions of years, those tiny nudges add up, and any two travelers who start together slowly, helplessly, drift apart. The Sun and the Voyagers are on slightly different orbits, at slightly different angles, and that slightly becomes an ocean. But even if, by some impossible accident, a Voyager's orbit did swing back to this exact patch of the galaxy, we would not be here. The Sun does not wait. By the time anything completed that journey, our star will have moved on, hundreds of millions of miles down its own road. The Voyager would arrive at an empty stretch of space and find only the ghost of an address. Home is a moving target, racing away on its own. So the leash is cut. The stars are strangers. And even the galaxy itself will not bring them home. Which leaves one final question, the one that actually matters. If they were never coming back, what were they ever for? Bolted to the side of each Voyager is a golden disc. You have probably heard of it. A record, like the old vinyl records, etched with the sound of this planet. The rumble of thunder, the song of a whale, a heartbeat, a child laughing. Greetings spoken in 55 languages by people who are now mostly gone. And music, the human attempt to say in the only way we know, this is what it felt like to be alive here. When the engineers attached those records, they understood something we sometimes forget. The Voyagers were never meant to come back. A message in a bottle is not thrown into the sea so that it will return to your hand. It is thrown so that some part of you can go where you can never follow. That golden record is not waiting to be replayed in a museum on Earth. It is a piece of us, travelling outward, past Gliese 445, past Ross 248, into a darkness that will outlast our species, our planet, and our sun. Long after the last instrument falls silent, and that day is close now, the Voyagers will keep going, cold, dark, blind, but carrying that record, intact, for 1 billion years or more. They will still be moving outward, long after there is no one left on Earth to wonder where they went. They are not lost children, hoping to find the way home. They are the part of us that gets to leave. So let me give you the honest answer to the question we started with. No, the Voyagers will never return to Earth. Not by gravity, not by chance, not by the slow turning of the galaxy. The road they are on does not bend back. It was never built to, and maybe that was always the wrong thing to ask of them. We sent them out not to come home, but to carry home outward, to take a heartbeat and a child's laugh and the sound of rain and press them forever into the dark, so that the universe would know, just once, that we were here. They are the farthest, loneliest, most permanent thing our species has ever made. And tonight, while you sleep, they are still moving, a little colder, a little quieter, a little farther from the only world that will ever call them children. So here is the question I will leave with you. If you knew that the most human thing you ever made would never come back to you, would travel out alone, into a silence with no end, carrying everything you wanted to say, would you still send it?